Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Daysofourlives, March 13, 2025. So we start off with Tate and his mom. So they're at a bar, very unlikely, right? So to Teresa's defense, she's having a mocktail, but it makes Tate uneasy because again, he's traumatized by his parents' history and their drinking problem and all that. They're both addicts. So you know how Tate turned out because of that. So she's saying that she's having a mocktail and she would never jeopardize her sobriety because of everything that went on, and she's glad to be out of jail and she's just trying to get back on the right path. So anyway, she asked Tate if he was sober when he knocked up Sophia, and he said no, I was thinking straight. We did it we did it carefully, we were responsible, but I guess all those health education classes were right about protection, birth control being defective. So she said, yeah, I mean, that's what happens sometimes, but are you really sure about going through the adoption route? And he said, that's why we're trying to be responsible. We're trying to find suitable parents that can adopt our child because we are not ready. We're too young for this. And Teresa made a point about not everything is going to be a straight line in life, and she's right, because everything can't just be fine and dandy and easy. You gotta take responsibility at some point, right? And yes, they're young, and Tate is saying that they have college, they have plans. At the end of the day, you have to factor in the child into your plans. It is what it is. It's not gonna just go away like that. And he's talking about adoption. A lot of babies are adopted every year, and not everybody's story is a sob story. There's plenty of people that turned out well through adoption, and yes, that might be so. And he doesn't want his mom to really put that on anybody who wants to be parents, or them trying to go that route. He has a point, but then he doesn't have a point, because at the end of the day, there's so much horror stories about people that are through the foster system, and a lot of them are abused or violated. So it's really a risky thing to go through, right? But Tate should have known this. If he knew he had college and all that, he should have just been abstinent and just it is what it is. You have to take responsibility. I don't get it. But anyways, they're talking, and Sophia's mom came up, and she heard them talking, and of course everybody's on pins and needles because Sophia's mom is very strict. She's self-righteous. How dare you even make a mistake in front of her, right? So he introduces her to his mom, and she said, Sophia's mom is saying, I've been doing all this dealings through Tate's dad, nice to meet you. And she said, yeah, I've been away in California. My mom has been sick. So Amy has been caught up to speed on Teresa. She knew that she has been in jail for a while. So she said, oh, you've been thinking about your mom from jail. So she said, I didn't know you knew. So she said, yeah, it's quite obvious. So she said that they didn't want to lead with that because it's the first time we meet and didn't want to really tell you about that. So she said she understands, and she was trying to, explain why she was there. And she said she don't want to know about that. That's in the past. Her problem is with EJ and, his dealings, right? So, I don't know. I mean, Sophie, I'd like to know if Amy ever did anything wrong in her past. She's too hypocritical and self-righteous for me, honestly. So Marlena is all packed and ready to go to DC to see if she and Steve can find what's going on with John by asking Shane some questions. So Belle comes in, and Belle, she fills in Belle on what she's doing, and she understands, she doesn't care about any protocol with Shane. She just really wants to know where her father is, and she's all in support of that. So they get to talking about that and doing things for the love of their life, and Belle is saying, she doesn't really have a love of life, and she really thought it was with Sean. All these years she thought it was just them against the world, and it was always their identities were mixed in together, intertwined together, and so it's hard for her to navigate herself after the divorce. Her actually finding herself, finding out who Belle is and what she really wants out of life. And she understood that it wasn't working out for a long while. Her and Sean was wanting different things, and yeah, she gets that. She just really wants to navigate and find herself after that, which a lot of people can definitely relate to, being divorcees and all that, right? So Marlena, asked her if she's has EJ out of her system, if she's, rekindling things with EJ. So she said no, after what he did with Ava and, his possible involvement in Jada and Rave's situation, like, I don't want nothing to do with him, and I am going to make sure that I prosecute him to the fullest extent. I'm glad that Paulina didn't recuse me from the case, but, I am going to make sure that he pays for what he did. So, I mean, Marlena said at the end of the day, follow what's in your head and what's in your heart. Mostly what's in your heart at the end of the day. So she said, sometimes that just ends up in, disaster and all that. But at the end of the day, Marlena just wants her to be happy. So Chanel and Paulina, are talking, and they talk about the whole disaster of a meeting at the Demira place. And, she's just mad at EJ for really causing this problem and possibly, affecting them adopting Sophia and Tate's child. So Paulina said, don't worry, I am the mayor, aren't I? I'm going to make sure that, this situation is smooth over. I'm going to meet with Sophia's mom in 15 minutes and really, see if we can fix this and solve this problem for you guys, right? So Chanel is happy about that because, she really wants this opportunity to happen for her and Johnny, right? So Sophia, Sophia's mom meets up with Paulina and they get straight to business, as, Amy says, right? So Paulina said, I know what happened at the Demira was a disaster, but please don't let that affect your judgment on Johnny and Chanel as people are suitable pairs. And Amy said she thinks that Chanel and Johnny seem to be lovely people. Her problem is EJ's involvement or interference in her grandchild's life, and she doesn't really want that to happen, right? So Paulina is in full agreement, and Paulina, she's devising a plan as to how that can happen, right? Steve and Roman were talking, and Steve tells Roman that he's actually going out of town. Him and Marlena are on this mission to go to Shane's headquarters in DC and find out what's going on with John, because at this point they're just really grasping for straws on his whereabouts. So Roman says, do you want me to come? I can also be persuasive. I mean, we can all go talk to my brother-in-law, find out what's going on. But Steve said maybe we need to take a delicate approach. I appreciate it, but it just needs to be me and Marlena, because it would be better to have a delicate approach to this situation. We don't want to bombard him and he doesn't tell us what we need to know, right? We need to approach it in a different way. So Roman understands that, and Steve said, you can do something for me, you can watch over Kayla while I'm gone. So he said, of course, right? So they get to talking about Rafe and John's disappearance, and Rafe recovering from what he went through. And Roman said he can't believe that EJ went through this do this again and affect Rafe and all of that. So he said he can't forget how it affected his daughter Sammy, and Sammy's still healing from all of that. So Steve understands, and they both agree that EJ is never going to change. He is always the same scum of the earth that he's always been. So he leaves, and then he goes over to Marlena's place, right? He tells Belle and reassures her that they're going to find answers as to where her father is and bring him home. So she is holding him to that. And, she asks about if Brady knows. So Marlena says that she talked to him earlier. He's at an appointment with Rachel. So he already knows, and he just wants her to bring their father back. So they leave. And of course, Marlena tells Belle to take care of herself and, just really do what's best for her. So at some point, she was there thinking about EJ and all that they went through, and then the fallout. And she said, I need to follow my head. I don't need to go through this again, right? At some point later in the episode, EJ did come over, because he's also feeling the same type of way. Like, baby, I need to really retake this relationship with Belle too. So let's see how that goes tomorrow. So EJ earlier was thinking of actually shooting up Mother Blake, after she may be a problem, in the long run, if she goes down, she's taking EJ with her, you know, actually telling on him that he has something to do with the whole race switch. So he's thinking of a permanent solution. He knows that Kristen will hate him for that. And, he's talking to the portrait as usual when, he's trying to think of the plan and all that. And he said it has to be done. So Johnny comes in on that part and said, what has to be done? So he said, this damage control with what happened with, Sophia's mom over here. And, I feel so bad about what happened. So, Johnny at first said normally when somebody's talking to Nono's portrait, that's Stefano's portrait, they're thinking of something horrible to be done or they're confessing about some horrible that they've done. So what is it? So he's talking about the damage control and, he said, honestly, you are to blame for that. So he said, no, I'm not to be held responsible for that. Like Jada and Gabby came in here and they said it's not their fault. Like you had something to do with Rafe being switched out with Arnold. Like, come on now. Arnold just comes into town and you have nothing to do with it. You were the one responsible for what happened with him in the first place and, him assaulting mom. Like, why would you, be working with him again? He said, you have my word. I didn't do anything. I didn't bring him back into town. And I just want to say that I apologize for what happened to your mom. Like, it haunts me to this day. And, nobody deserves that, not even the mother of my child. And I just want to say that I'm sorry about that. So Johnny said, I appreciate that, but that's not for me to really forgive. Right. So he did not level with Johnny. And Johnny asked him, like, hey, just be honest with me. If you really respect me, like, did you have anything to do with this Arnold Vinegar thing again? So he's like, no, I didn't do it or anything like that. But you know that this is going to come out. This is going to be a whole big mess, EJ. Like, you're going to alienate your one child from this place. So speaking of the damage control, he was, suggesting that Amy come over for dinner. He wine and dine her. He be charming, and they, make sure that Gabby and Jada don't come over again. And Johnny said no, we'll figure it out on our own. Thanks but no thanks, right? Johnny meets up with Chanel after, and he tells her that he has, a little heated discussion with his dad. So he's, he did want to have damage control, and she's like, I'm supposed he did apologize for his role. So it's like, no, he didn't apologize. He didn't think it's his fault. So she said, when did he ever think it's ever his fault, right? So he suggested that he wanted to, do a do-over with what happened, and he shut him down, right? If you want to do it, I'm fine with it. So she said, no, my mom is handling things, right? She's actually meeting with Sophia's mom at the moment. So anyways, he did say his dad actually felt remorseful and apologized for his role in Arnold coming to town in the first place and violated his mom and all that. And, he felt like he was actually sincere about it, but, he just doesn't believe that, he don't know what to believe if he brought Arnold again a second time, because if he did, there's no coming back from that. So Teresa comes over to the pub and, she says hi to her Uncle Roman, and he already knew that she was in town, and she's like, you're no fun. How did you know? So he said he spoke to her mom, and her mom was really excited about her coming out of jail, and she's like, I didn't think she'd be happy for me. So he said, despite you guys' history, she's happy that you're, out, and she would love for you to come to California. So she said, yeah, it's been a while. I haven't seen her, and I haven't seen my dad, so I'd like to see them. And he's saying that, you better hold off on your dad, like Marlena and John, Marlena and Steve are actually gonna talk to him, about John's disappearance and all that. So she said, maybe I need to call him to kind of, enforce things. So she said no. Mama said no. Steve said it has to be a delicate approach, so maybe not do that, right? So at some point, Johnny comes in and he's saying hi to both of them, and it was really cold with Teresa, and I don't know. It's just really childish to me, but Teresa did not really seem happy to say hi to Johnny, and she just kind of say like, bye, Uncle Roman, like, I'll see you later. So she passed him and just gone. And I'm like, I wonder if it has to do with the conversation with Tate. Like, regardless, like, you don't have to take that out on Johnny. Like, it's not fair. So John is confused, as am I, about this whole, encounter with Teresa. But anyways, he talks to his grandpa Roman and he tells his grandpa that, him and Chanel would like some burgers from the pub. So Roman said, you got it. Just know that I'm not sending over no burger for your dad. So Johnny completely gets it, given everything that's happening, and he said, I just talked to my dad, and he said he had no involvement in that whole thing with Vinegar coming back to town, and given what happened, way back with his, Arnold, violating my mom and all that, like he wouldn't have any parts in it. So Roman said, that's a load of BS. Like your dad also did that to your mom. So Johnny's surprised. Like Johnny said, no, I didn't hear nothing about that. So now a lot of Pandora's boxes are going to be open now with this whole thing. We just got to stay tuned. So that is it, guys. Comment below your thoughts on today's episode. Like, it was a crazy episode, but let's see what happens tomorrow. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys tomorrow.